Today, we've got Justin back on the podcast, who has helped thousands of sellers get actionable insights into optimization of their listings, sometimes even before they have a listing. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the Amazon and Walmart world. We've got somebody who's been helping serious sellers for years here now. Justin from PickFu, how's it going?
Great, yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You've been around for years. Like when I first came to the company, it was actually interesting. You know, PickFu was was the only company that Manny Coates, the founder of Helium 10, would talk about like on webinars, like an outside company, and the only one that we actually were affiliates of you guys. You know, before Helium 10 never did that kind of thing, but we loved it so much we wanted to do that. And now, of course, as most people know, we were able to integrate the PickFu platform into Helium 10. It's called Helium 10 Audience, but you know. I haven't seen enough people using it because, in my opinion, PickFu, Helium 10 Audience, this is something that every single private label seller should be using. So anything less than that is like not enough people are using it, but it's actually a very small percentage I've seen of people using it. So I just want to kind of refresh everybody's realization and memories of why this is important. So first of all, can you just briefly give an overview of what PickFu / Helium 10 Audience is about? You know, history, like how long you guys been around and what's the main purpose and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So PickFu is a self-service crowdsourced market research service. So at its core, it's a pretty generic tool. You could use it for anything. And we do have customers who have used it for all kinds of things, from book titles to game characters. Obviously, e-commerce sellers use it to test all things about their product. So we've been around for quite a while, kind of in different industries. But like you said, when Manny mentioned PickFu on the podcast, it kind of helped us out in getting traction in the e-commerce space. And we discovered that there's a lot of interesting opportunities for sellers to get data on really important decisions that they probably aren't gathering data on right now. So the obvious ones are things like main images and listing assets and stuff like that. But even more importantly is earlier in the process, testing out product concepts, product designs, all that kind of stuff. So just quickly at its core, like we have a panel of people that we reach out to and we pay to give answers and give feedback on, you know, which one do they like which logo do they like? And not only will they choose what they like, but they'll give a written explanation why, some demographic information as well. And it's all very fast, 30 minutes to an hour, it'll be done.
Interesting. All right. Now I've used it, I don't know, probably like 50 times. You know, I've run PickFus and things. And for me, the main, I know different people have different, ways to use it, and I'm going to want you to talk on that. But, you know, just giving people my personal experience, the most beneficial for me is like the main image. Like, I always thought, hey, I know this is the best main image, but like I would say 75% of the time I ask people what they think is the best main image out of like an option of 3 or 4. 75% of the time, it's not the one that I thought, you know, was the best one. So that's like my main thing. But I've also, you know, been experimenting with different ways to use it, like different price points. I also, now we have business reports in Helium 10. Business reports is taking that from Amazon, where you can see kind of like the conversion rate of your products and like your page views. And so then if I see something, you know, weird, like, not enough page views or page views go really down, I'll actually like maybe take a screenshot of how our product looks in the search results and then compare it to some of the other products which have moved ahead of me. And then I'll just ask, hey, you know, like if you just saw this in the search results, which one would you pick and why? And to me, that's, or I get some very insightful stuff like, well, I like how the price point, you know, sometimes is important. Sometimes it's, the title on this really says what it is. Or some people say, well, you know, from the image, this one looks like it's bigger. I'm like, what do you mean? Mine's bigger. You know, like, what are you talking about? Like there's just stuff that you wouldn't know about. But what about you? Can you talk about maybe 3, 4, or 5 different use cases in the last year that you've seen that was pretty, you know, not just the typical one that I talked about that you think people are using, you know, PickFu and Audience for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to touch on the competitive test you did because I think that's a really important one. We're actually seeing a lot more people doing that. And not only are they taking the screenshots, but they're also getting clever and modifying them, right? Because you don't just want to know. Obviously, you do want to know why they're clicking, but you then want to know, well, what if I change my main image? What if I change my title? What if I change my pricing? And what if we all had the same number of stars and reviews? Like, what does it look like at that point, right? Because then it's giving you a little bit of insight into like the possibilities of, okay, well, if we on a level playing field, at least I know my image is performing better or my title's performing better, and I just need to work on getting more ratings and reviews. So that is something we're seeing more of, and savvy people have been either using Photoshop or kind of just like modifying Chrome Inspector and taking the screenshots. We actually built a tool to help this out where it's called the Amazon Mockup Tool Generator. You can go to our website on pickfoo.com and find it in the header. And what it'll actually do is take in ASINs and pull in that data, and then you could just modify it on the spot. So you can like change the title, and it'll generate screenshots to make this testing process even easier. But yeah, that's a really important one because not enough people understand why they're dropping in the rankings, or maybe why they're losing out to a competitor.
Have you seen people use it more like for non-Amazon? Like we have a lot more. We probably have 5 times as many Walmart sellers this year as we did last year, or Shopify or other e-commerce platforms. Yeah.
I mean, we obviously work we're kind of platform agnostic. It doesn't really matter what you sell on. So we do see a lot of direct to consumer sellers testing out their Shopify landing pages, or even their ads that they're using on Facebook and Instagram, those kinds of things. So we definitely see a lot of ad creatives, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on. But I guess going back to your initial question about like what other ways that people are using it, one of the ways that we see a lot is open-ended feedback on their listings. So as you're trying to figure out why you may not be converting very well, what you can do is you can just, and a lot of people don't know about this about PickFoo, is that our audience is, you don't always have to compare two things. You can just get feedback on one thing. So you could actually just put it in your listing URL or a screenshot of your listing page and say, like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the efficacy of my listing, and like what questions or concerns do you still have about this product?
I haven't done that one. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to write this down.
So
I like that.
It's really interesting because I think it surfaces a lot of things that maybe you think you've already addressed, or maybe it'll surface things that you totally even think about, like, is it edible? Is it washable? Is it reusable? Like, all these questions pop up in people's heads. And maybe you're not, highlighting it in the bullets, or your secondary images just aren't highlighting it. And the other thing is you can do this on your competitors. Like, maybe this is a product that you're going after, right? Maybe you don't even have a product yet, but you want to say like, hey, like, what opportunities are there to improve on this? And maybe if everyone's talking about the price, or like they don't like the design of something, that's an opportunity for you to create a variation or coming at a different price point. So it's a very interesting way to get people to talk about opportunities to improve the listing.
Okay, cool. You know what? I just thought of something absolutely crazy. What if I do a screen share and we run something right now on PickFoo? Let's pick something to do for one of our Project X things. We've got Coffin Shelf, and we've got I think the Coffin Shelf is what most people know about. And so the one thing about it is that our sales share has gone down. Like there's another one that has Amazon's Choice, and it's like kind of like crushing the game here. But let me just share my screen, and Justin, maybe you can have some ideas. So here's the search results for Coffin Shelf, and we've got the number 1 sponsored ad here, and we've got the number 3 sponsored ad. This is our Coffin bookshelf. And for those of you listening to this on the podcast instead of YouTube, you're just going to kind of have to visualize it. But here's the organic first line. It's actually interesting that, our regular Coffin Shelf is not even the top 4 here. But we've got this one with Amazon's Choice, and this guy is the main seller. So, by the way, guys, this is the process I want you guys to go over. Like, you don't just don't come in and say, oh, I'm just going to run this PickFoo or this audience. You got to like think it out and talk it out loud and figure out what you want to find out. So there's that. This is just the sponsored section here. And then here's the Amazon's Choice section. My goodness, there's like so many non-organic results now. And then here's our Coffin Shelf here. Okay, now let me check this. I'm going to run X-ray here. That's another thing that we should be doing, guys. Run X-ray and see who's selling the most. So we've got 253 sales in the last 30 days, and then the top seller is 420. Now, right off the bat, I know their price is $21 or $22, and we're $26.97. Okay, so, and then we got 67 here. That's our large size coffin shelf. Oh shoot, this competitor is coming up strong. They've got a double coffin shelf that's only $30. Okay, all right. Anything hopping off like that you think, like should I do one for the images? Should I do one? I mean, I think for the price is kind of a no-brainer. I don't need to run PickFood to know that people like $21.99 as opposed to $26.97. But anything hopping off to you right now, Justin, that you think we should run something on?
Like if you were searching for the coffin bookshelf, then which one would you click on in an Amazon search result? It's probably something whatever.
Which one you click on? Okay. Yeah. So if you're all right, so right now, guys, I'm going to pause this episode. We'll edit this out, but I'm going to take these images and save them really quick, and then I'm going to show you the process of doing the setting it up. All right, guys, so I just downloaded the images of the top 3, including ours coffin shelf, and then I went into PickFood and I hit ranked. You would do the same thing in Helium 10 audience, by the way. And I'm going to go ahead and build from scratch here. Mm-hmm. Sure. And then I write. So what should my question be? It's like, what if you saw these images in the search results for the word coffin shelf, which one?
Yeah, which one would you click on? Yeah, that works.
You saw these images in the search result of coffin shelf. Which one, what's the best way to get which one would you pick, or which one is the most attractive to you, or which one makes you most likely to click?
Yeah, which are you most likely to click to learn more about? I don't know. I'm getting all wordy now.
Which are you most likely to click on to learn more about? And why? That's important, right?
Sure, yeah, because they have to give an explanation.
All right, then we hit next step. All right, add your options. All right, then this part, guys, is where you would put the next step is the options, option A, B, and C, and then this is where I would put in the images. Remember, if you're doing price, it would just be text. There's a lot of different things. So I'm going to do image on this. All right, so guys, I actually just had to edit out a little bit here because, and this is something that's important for you guys to know, is when I entered it into PickFood here, because my images sizes that I downloaded were so different. Like one of them was the wrong size. And so immediately people are going to be biased that, that small one is not good. So you might have to edit your guys. If you're just taking images from 3 different sources, you might have to change the dimensions around just to make sure that it's kind of like an equal playing field. So now we go to the next step. Choose the type of poll you would like. So should I choose the ranked?
Yeah, that's okay. Good for this.
When would I use head to head?
So in a ranked, though, everyone is asked to rank in their preference. Like not only will they choose what they like, they'll actually say their first and second and third choice, or however many you did. If you did 8, they would rank them all the way 1 through 8. In a head to head, what happens? They actually do every single pairwise matchup. So it's kind of like a round robin tennis tournament. It'd be like A versus B, A versus C, A versus D, and so it gathers a lot more data. So it is a lot more work for our respondents, and it typically does cost a little bit more, but it is a little bit more thorough.
That makes sense. All right, next step, audience. So I want to go Amazon Prime. That's what usually I want to do, right? Sure. On this. Yep. So I would click custom audience.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to hit custom audience. And if I was really doing this for real, like I would maybe go a little bit deeper, guys. So I would look into my brand analytics in Seller Central, and I would try and pull some data like, hey, what's the age group of people who buy this product? What's the gender? Maybe even what's the salary and things like that. You can do some of that in Amazon. Then I would take that data here, but then that would make it, it would take a little bit longer to get the results. So I just want to kind of get some results fast here. So all I'm going to do is Amazon Prime subscribers. All right. And I selected that, but it's really cool. What are some of the common ones that other people choose here?
Yeah. So, I mean, aside from gender and income, I would say that there are things like pet ownership. So kind of the behavioral type things. So, like, do they
Mhm.
own a dog or a cat? Do they do they take nutritional supplements? Like, are they cosmetics users? So, those kinds of things are typically um, what we see the most often.
Okay,
And if there's like a audience that is not on there, definitely let us know and we'll look into building it.
awesome. All right, now I hit next step. Personality traits. I can, so this is free. I can actually, even though I didn't want this to be edited out. I can choose to actually know the
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the
This will just
gender
gather
and
more
age.
information.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So next step, I'm gonna hit next step, and here audience size 50. That's usually pretty good, right? 50 different
Yeah,
people to get some.
yeah.
Okay. Everything looks good. I'm gonna hit proceed to checkout now. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay, and we should be good to go, right? Awesome. All right. So now it's actually in the process. So we are collecting data right now. If you saw these images in the search result of coffin shelf, what are you most likely to click? So while we're gathering stuff here, and now this is, when are we? This is 12:30 p.m. 12:33 p.m. When I started this. I'm going to see how many responses we can get by the end of this episode. But what is happening on PickFoo's side? Like, what just happened when I went ahead and paid for this?
Yeah, so we're reaching out to our panel of people for people that match that audience that you're looking for. So in this case, Prime members, or if you had any other targeting, we would filter it down to that. And then we're asking them to fill this out. And so they're asked that question. They're asked to rank the three options and then give her an explanation why. And then they will fill out like kind of a brief demographic survey afterwards to give more information about their gender or their age or maybe other things that we're collecting.
So for me, my hypothesis, and this is what, guys, you always need to start with when you're running any kind of A/B split testing, is you need to come in with a hypothesis of something. And now my hypothesis is that probably price is the main reason why our sales are down compared to others. And so what I wanted to do was, all right, well, let's just make sure that there's nothing just blaring, on these images. But I would like to think that they're going to pick my image first because, we actually have a pretty nice image there. But, there very well could be something like, I noticed one of those coffin shelves that we picked, they had stickers in it, So, does that move the needle? Like, oh, this is cool because we get stickers, in it. So, oh my goodness, like it's now 12:36 p.m. and we already have some responses here. This is kind of crazy. So if I hit this load responses, I can actually see the 14 people who have replied already, right? All right, I'm going to hit load 14 responses. And, option C is, goodness gracious, only 4 people have picked our coffin shelf so far. Only one person has picked the top one. And this goes with my hypothesis that the only reason people are picking this is that price, because their image doesn't look great at all. Let's see what people are saying down here. The person who chose ours, I choose A mostly because of the angle. All right, so that's good. That was why I did that angle one. But let's take a look here at what people are writing about option C, which is the coffin shelf that had like some stickers. Oh, they like the black with the red back. So they have a red background and looks more unique. Interesting. Another person said the red color. Oh my goodness. A third person said I voted option C because of the red color stands out, draws attention. The fourth person said the red color. So let me look back at these images. It looks like maybe the back of their coffin shelf actually is red. Yeah, that's true. So who knows? I mean, this is almost down to the product research stage. Like maybe I should consider making a version that has this red background because holy crap. So you see, sometimes something that you didn't even think, what was going to come up. I thought it was going to be the stickers maybe that people are picking that third one, but it's about that red color that is popping. All right. I know you don't have this number just or this stuff like right in front of you, but can you think of, when customers have gone to you and says, OMG, Justin, like I did this and I found this and then my sales or my conversion rate went from this to this, or can you give some of the more extreme stories out there that we can kind of inspire people to let them understand the possibility of what you can do by getting insight like this?
Yeah. I mean, we have a couple case studies on our website, and I'll try to remember some stuff off the top of my head. But even making minor main image layout changes. I think we have one for our Yes Bar, which is like a snack food bar company, and they just very slightly changed the main image. It wasn't even anything drastic, but just after one poll, they were able to improve their click through rate, or their sessions by like I want to say it was like 12% off just like one poll and a minor main image adjustment. Immediately, like giving a positive ROI on the PickFu poll itself. So um,
Wow.
if you were to keep doing those minor improvements on the title and, maybe even taking the image a little bit further, and like you said, testing out pricing, right? Because pricing could be a factor that could be leading to people not even clicking on your listing and definitely not converting into sales. We have a thorough case study about Thrasio doing a rebrand about their dog deodorizer, um, Angry Orange. So definitely check that out on our website as well, where they actually took one of their brands, which had kind of like a more old fashioned, not sophisticated looking brand, did a whole rebrand on it, and massively drove up their sales. So that's always a really good one to check out.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I know. I was just at the $1 billion Seller Summit this week, and somebody had talked about a strategy where it's like you start with PickFu almost, and you just you're ready to have a target niche that you want to sell in. You pick the best selling or best reviewed and best selling product, and then you ask people like what's attractive about this product, and then now you come up with your own ideation. Now this is still before you make the product, but then now you come up with the option, and then now you pit that best selling and best reviewed one versus your mock-up version, be it the listing or be it the images, and then you keep tweaking until yours wins. That was something I hadn't thought. I think it was Isabella Ritz who had mentioned that strategy. But that's another great strategy. Any other examples you can give us or use cases that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of let's see, like sets of images being tested. So like as you're working on your entire set of like secondary images, and maybe you have different styles or layouts or themes that you're going with. I'll see people kind of like stitch them all together into like 6 different images,
Mhm.
and just put the entire sets to compare them. Like, hey, like as a whole, which one of these sets is more interesting? And that's something we haven't seen a lot of until recently. So I thought that was a really interesting use case. We've seen some people doing mood boards and like just like color themes. So like as they're gathering inspiration for maybe like a video or maybe like a lifestyle imagery, like, hey, like which one of these like maybe a combination of models and backgrounds and setting and all that kind of stuff like resonates better with the brand, or kind of like gives you the feeling of security or like healthy lifestyle. So like there's all these emotions you're trying to evoke with imagery, and that's not just how you position your product, it's kind of the context that your product is in your photos. So testing that out even before laying your image into your product into it is pretty important.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And now I have my own opinion on this, and I'll share it after I get yours. But there's an A/B testing inside of Amazon. Like where it's actually on a live listing. I forgot what it's called, but if you have brand registry, you should do it. And there's actually some interesting insights you can get from it, because they'll start showing you the breakdown of how many came from mobile and how many sales came from this and that. But my personal preference is I like to do my split testing not on a live listing, regardless of all those extra benefits I get from using the Amazon tool. What about you? Like why would you say, hey, it's better or worse to do the off Amazon, like a PickFu audience,
Yeah.
instead of the on Amazon one?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the concerns about doing live A/B testing are, well, one, it may take a long time, right? Depending on the amount of traffic that you're getting. Um, Secondarily, like you're negatively impacting your sales, kind of by definition, right? So like if you're always presenting more than one option, well, one of the options is not going to be as good as the other one. You're going to result in lower sales. And if you're live testing something, you're not going to want to test something that's like meaningfully different, because you're going to be much more conservative with what you test, right? Because like it is your brand, it's going to be live to your customers. You can't even really test like a drastically different color theme or a layout, or or any of those things, right? So if you want to do it in a safer sandbox, that's when you would take it off platform to PickFu. And then you can it actually gives you a lot more creative freedom. It gives your designer a lot more creative freedom to be like, hey, I know we always use black here, but like what if we jazzed it up and we did like yellow and red? And maybe your target audience actually responds really well to that. But like you're never going to live test that. That's just
Yeah.
fantastic, right?
Let me produce 500 units here, and then let me do a run a live test.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a time and place for live testing, and maybe it's when you're like, you got a couple options and you iterated so much on PickFu and you're confident that they're both good. Then sure, you can throw it up on the live test and then just go with the final sales data. But as you're developing things, like you want to do that off platform.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I'm very similar in thought. There are some maybe specific things that you can do your own testing on, like PPC campaigns, time of day. That's not something you don't put something into a PickFu audience where, hey, like what time of day are you most likely to click on this PPC? No, you should be looking at your data, for that. But you bring up a very good point. If somebody's considering, extensions to their variation line, new colors or new sizes or something, you don't want to live test that after thousands and thousands of dollars of investment. So that's I don't want to come up with a red background coffin shelf on my own, order 500 and then have it completely flop, because it's not very good. Yeah, I actually did that once, just as a test, just for Project X, where we actually started the coffin shelves with, I think like 5 or 6 images. We actually at one time, we have a pink and purple one now. But what I did after the black one, I bought pink and purple. I was able to do like 100 units. So I'm dumb. I knew about PickFu back then. I don't know why I didn't think about that. But what I did was when I order the black coffin shelves from the manufacturer, I can just have them spray paint it another color. So I just had them do like, it wasn't even like 100. It was like 50. I had them do 50 black or a pink, purple, and then we had a green, red, and brown. So that it didn't cost me much money. I figured, hey, this will be a fun experiment. And then sure enough, the green and the brown just completely flopped. But the purple and pink did really well. But that still cost me money because it took me a long time to sell out of the green and brown coffin shelves, where probably all I had to do was run a PickFu and I would have known.
Unsold inventory will kill you, and that's the other use case that we see a lot of people is just color variations, right? Because your manufacturer can help you generate a bunch of different color variations for you, and you have all these products that you haven't ordered yet, and just test it out, and then you'll at least have a better idea of the breakdown of how much of each to order, and maybe that yellow and green is not one you would order, right?
Any other unique, I think we've talked about the most common ones, but have you run across, I know you don't look yourself at every single PickFu poll that people are doing, but have you ever just browsed and you're like, what in the world? Like, I never thought that anybody would use it in this way. And, not one of the more common ones that we've been talking about today.
One of the other ones that I think more people should do more of that I've seen only a handful of time is, ranking the features. So, like if you're buying a coffin shelf, like what are the features that are important to you, right? Because you're only going to highlight like 5 features in your bullet points or in your title, but maybe there's 8 different features or a dozen features that you think are important. So you could actually put up all the, you could start with just like the high level, like not even flushed out, but just like the points, like it's reusable, it's washable, like it's whatever, sturdy, and put them all out and tell them to rank it. And you're going to come back with like the top 5 features that maybe you should be focusing on, because I think people just assume a lot of times. I did this one. I was making a presentation about some kitchen tongs, and what was interesting was people really gravitated towards like BPA free and nonstick. And in my mind, like if I were selling, I'm like, oh well, of course it's obviously going to be BPA free. Like, why do I even need to highlight that? But people want to feel reassured, and when they're clicking through the search results, they're like, well, I chose this one because it said nonstick and BPA free. And depending on who you are, like you might just assume like that's good enough. But I think actually testing it and say like, hey, what are the factors that are important to you? Once you flush them out, you could also test them like, how do these bullets compare to like my competitors, or maybe like 2 different versions of like your bullet text. But I think even before that, just like get them to rank what's important.
All right. So, as we know, Helium-10 audience is right there. And as a matter of fact, let me just show people where it's at in your dashboard. Let me show my screen here. So guys, if you just go to the top right here and you hit tools in your Helium-10 account, it's right under listing optimization, and then you hit audience. And actually, there's probably a couple. Here's one that I did a while back for a coffin egg tray that we did. And sure enough, the one that I thought would be picked was not the one that the majority picked, that had a score of 60 right there. But anyways, this is inside of Helium-10, actually. So, obviously people who have Helium-10 can use it. What are some tools, that this audience, can be kind of paired with, or how can people use it in the context of other Helium-10 tools?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting, obviously Helium-10 has a ton of different tools. Some of the more obvious things that you could test out are as you're generating other creative assets like, portals or product inserts, even as you're trying to decide on what template to use, maybe for portals, I think it's important to test out the templates against your target audience, right? Because I actually ran a poll just playing around with the templates, and I saw there was like a blue thank you landing page and then like a white one. Like, seems kind of, innocuous, but I tested it against men because, maybe I'm selling against men. And the blue one won by a landslide. But if I was a woman and, maybe just chose whatever I like, maybe I would have chosen the white one and it wouldn't have resonated as well. And so not to say that one template is necessarily better than another, but for your target audience, one might appeal more. So like maybe you're selling to women 65 and plus versus men 18 and 24, it's worth testing out these kinds of things. Because it may resonate differently.
Is there a time where this is going to, start to be available for hey, I want this to be Amazon Prime members in Europe or in Australia or different countries, Canada, Mexico, et cetera?
Yeah. We're actually private beta testing that right now, actually. So we're testing out Germany right now. Mm-hmm. Also Canada and Australia, with UK coming right after that. So kind of in order of, Amazon Marketplace popularity. So we definitely want to hit that German marketplace. And so
that's the number 2 for those who didn't know. That's number 2 in all of the world next to USA.
Yeah, and I suspect very different buying habits and buying preferences. So I think it's really important for any seller who's trying to get into the German market that they actually do test a lot of. First of all, test that their product is interesting and people would actually buy their product. But then you may even need to test out your branding and your packaging and obviously your main images and copy, because all these different cultures, like they have different preferences for how they like to see, even packaging, right? Like some cultures like very simplistic, clean packaging. Others like all the detail and ingredients like listed on it, right? And you kind of need to know that.
All right, I just got a notification that it finished, so let's go ahead and share my screen again. Here we go. 50 people answered in 21 minutes, it says here, and the winner was that red one with a score of 62. Now, how does this work where there's only 50 people who responded here, but how does this scoring work? Because I see a score of 62, 14, and 38.
Yeah, so for these rank ones, if you scroll down, there's actually an explanation. Click on that detailed vote counts on the right.
Oh, detailed vote counts.
Yeah, so it does this process called the instant runoff, where basically it takes the first place votes and kind of starts consolidating the second place votes and the third place votes until you have enough to declare a winner. And so a lot of political elections are starting to use this kind of counting mechanism, just because it gives you the most preferred option. If you were just to say just choose one option out of 3 to 8, you would never get a majority. But when you ask their preference, you actually maybe it was the third place that it could end up winning, because it was the most preferred, because maybe first place for some was so polarizing that people hated it on the flip side. So that's kind of how it works.
Interesting. All right. Let's see. I also have the demographic reports. Okay. So it looks like, oh, wow. So not only do I just get the demographics of everybody, but it actually breaks down if a certain demographic tended to vote for one of these options even. Wow. I didn't even realize that. 50% Very, very interesting. So really, it's very similar. Like, it doesn't matter male or female here. They all voted along party lines here for A versus B, since we're talking about polls and political stuff here. But what is this one here? 45 to 50, the age group of 45 to 50. See, this is what this tells me. Like, the age group of 45 to 50 looks like they have a tendency to vote for our coffin shelf. So I guess we're appealing to that older market there. But let's go ahead and see some of these responses now. And the winner, by the way, guys, was that red one with 31 votes. But ours was not far behind. And let me see if anybody, I'm just going to run a search on this page to see if anybody said, now one person mentioned stickers. So they might not even realize that they were stickers. But yeah, a lot of people, let me see how many people said the word red. 33 different people mentioned the word red in the responses. So that's obviously, yeah, everybody's talking about the red. B, they said it's scary looking. I like the color contrast in the first choice, more eye-catching. And I picked A last as it appears blue, which I don't associate with it. Aha! What in the world does my picture look? You know what? That's an interesting point. See, we actually did a 3D rendered image here. Some people might think, let me see if anybody else mentioned that. They think it looks blue. Let me see how many people said. 7 people mentioned blue here, and I never would have thought that, because I know it's black, and then I never even wow, it does look, when you compare it to this black, this color black, that is something serious right there. Now that is, yeah, I might need to go in and change this picture. Like, I thought it looked great because I was like, it's so much brighter. You can see some contrast a little bit more because they manipulated the image. But now it's so much that people think it's, see, look at that, guys. We did this live, and I found out a couple of things that I never would have thought about. So guys, you need to be using this. You can do it at pickfu.com, PICKFU, or those of you who are Helium 10 members, just do it right in your Helium 10 account, because you've already got the billing already and everything tied. It's the same exact audience and same process. We didn't make our own PickFu. That's tied to the PickFu website. Now, Justin, we usually do a 30-second tip of the day, as you know, so you've been giving us a lot of tips and strategies, so it doesn't have to be about PickFu. It could be about anything you want. What is a 30-second tip or strategy you can give our listeners today?
Yeah, so the tip I have is that is to try testing something that doesn't exist yet. I think a lot of people tend to come and think that they can only test their products that they already have or images that they've already generated. So come and test the concept, come and test new copy or 3D renders or products that you're not even purchased yet. Like, maybe you grab the image off Alibaba, or you ask your manufacturer for some sample images and you want to test it against competitors. I think that's a really important way to start out your process. And as we've seen with the coffin stuff, it could have saved a lot of, probably generated a lot more sales, maybe, if we had figured out the red thing earlier, or even the fact that the black looks a little bit blue.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. If people want to reach out to you for more questions or something, how can they find you on the interwebs out there?
Yeah, they can just email me at justin@pickfu.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, or just come to pickfu.com and chat with anyone on the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and be seeing you hopefully at Sell and Scale.
Yep.
Awesome. We'll see you later.